Don't get yourself rejected from physical therapy school. Have you ever considered that the reason why you might not be a good applicant or you might not get into a physical therapy program is because of you? And I'm not saying that to make you feel bad. I'm saying that to show you something that I showed students yesterday. Just yesterday, we had one of our master classes. I'm sure we'll have another one coming up in the near future, so keep an eye out for that. However, we were teaching them the blueprint of how our students have been able to get into physical therapy school with a 92% first-time acceptance rate over the past 8 to 10 years. This is not something we just started doing last week. This is something that we've been doing for a long time. And from students that have had 2.4 GPAs or 4+ rejection letters or 4+ years of getting rejected prior to working with our team, there's certain things we've noticed that have been consistent across the board. And the first one, and the one that most students don't really look into, because most of the times when we're looking for advice, you're probably asking, what about grades? Should I retake this class? Or how do I deal with chemistry? Or how do I deal with physics? Or how do I deal with the GRE because I'm not good, or I don't feel like I'm good at standardized tests? We ask those questions. We ask, how do I stand out, before realizing that it starts with us. It starts with you, right? And so what if that's the key to you becoming a strong applicant? What if that's the key to you really being your best self and standing out to the schools that you hope to get into, or you plan or dream about getting into? And so that's what I want to cover in this training. Before I dive in, my name is Joseph Gugi. I'm a physical therapist. I'm also one of the co-founders of Pre-PT Grind. I'm also a PT school acceptance coach and have been since 2014. So it's been a long time. And what we do is we help students get into physical therapy school without wasting time or money. And in this training, I'm going to share with you one thing that could catapult you massively closer to your dream of becoming a doctor of physical therapy. Let's dive into it. This is a topic that I did cover during our masterclass. However, the way it was received by students was so powerful that I was like, you know what, we have to create a training on this to make sure that you're in a brilliant place, a brilliant position to become a future physical therapist and a strong applicant. Let's dive into this. So one of the biggest things that we've noticed is over the years of working with students and really helping them navigate through their acceptance letters is that there's a few different identities or a few different personality types or a few different ways that students can show up. And depending on how you show up as an applicant can actually either help you get into school or hurt you as an applicant. And so what we've noticed is that there's 5 types of pre-PTs. I'm going to share with you what those 5 are, but there's 5 types of pre-PTs that if you show up as any of these 5, maybe you're already doing it without even realizing it. If you show up as any of these 5, you will likely get in your way. You'll self-sabotage, get in your own way, put yourself in a position where you might procrastinate or sometimes even quit or consider having a backup plan because you fear that you might not be good enough. And what we've noticed over the years is that when students show up as any of these 5, they hold themselves back. However, when they intentionally start showing up as the 6th version, which I'll share with you here shortly, they start absolutely dominating. And I'm talking low GPA, standardized exam struggles, past rejections, everything. We've seen it all. So I'm going to share with you the first 5, and I want you to ask yourself, am I currently showing up as a pre-PT that desperately wants to get into physical therapy school, that wants to become a doctor of physical therapy, that wants to impact all the patients that I dream about helping? Which one of these am I showing up as? And then ask yourself, am I willing to change that? Or what am I going to do? What are my next steps? What are my action steps going to be to change that? And of course, as I'm sharing this, if you hear one of these and you're like, yo, I have a friend that needs to listen to this, then take the link from this training and share it with them right now. And then of course, at the end, I'd love to know your thoughts. I'd love to know in the comments below what this episode said to you. Is that cool? So let's dive into it. So the 5 are the victim pre-PT, the blind pre-PT, the bare minimum pre-PT, the quick take, slow act pre-PT, and the just in time pre-PT. So those are the first 5. I'll share with you the 6th here shortly. So here's literally every student we've ever worked with, and we've had over 1,000 clients, over 1,000 students that we've directly helped get into PT school. And so they've all either had at least one of these or multiple ones, or sometimes even all of them at different times. And how have you been showing up as an applicant? So the first one, let's talk about the victim pre-PT. The victim pre-PT is the student that knows who to blame. It's someone else's fault or something else's fault. It's my professor. I had a bad professor. It's my circumstances, my financial situation. It's where I live. It's the environment that I'm in. There's always something else outside of you that always seems to be the reason why things are not working out. I have too many jobs. It's my job's fault. I'm a victim of my circumstances. That's where we usually say to other people, lucky you're not in the same situation I'm in. Have you ever felt that, right? So that's a victim pre-PT. And the reason why that typically holds students back is because you have very little power in that situation, right? Like in that equation, you're at the mercy of your circumstances. And usually we're seeing all the bad instead of all the good. Does that make sense? And so how am I showing up? Am I showing up as the victim pre-PT? That's just the first one. The second one is the blind pre-PT. So we call this shooting in the dark. This is the student that doesn't know what they don't know. You don't know what you don't know. You're guessing your way through this whole process. You're very good at seeing what other students are doing, and you're trying to say, okay, they are about to take the GRE. Let me do that. Oh, they're applying to those schools. Let me also apply there. And so you're usually not really sure what your next step should be. So you are operating blind. You're guessing, right? You're hoping for the best. And if that's the case, you have to ask yourself, is that truly serving you? Think about it. Like, you are a pre-physical therapy student working hard to get into a doctor of physical therapy program in one of the most competitive spaces for applicants. Literally, for each school that you apply to, literally every single school, we've done the math, accepts on average 11.7% of applicants. So you're trying to stand out, but to stand out, you're just mirroring what everyone else is doing or what you think you should do. That's usually when you say stuff like, I think if I had more hours, maybe the schools would think I was a better applicant. Maybe if I get 1,000 hours, maybe if I get 2,000 hours, maybe they won't notice that I don't have good grades, or maybe they won't notice that, or maybe they won't care that I don't feel confident with the GRE. Are you seeing how this works? So the blind pre-PT is guessing, and I can't tell you how many students are operating from the standpoint of guessing. Here's how you're typically guessing. It's usually when you're crossing your fingers and hoping for the best. I hope that the hard work that I did was good enough. Ask yourself, is that the way you want to show up? Is that an empowering way to show up? Is that a way that gives you any sense of control? Or do you feel like, well, no, like I hope I get into school. I hope I'm a good enough applicant. And if this doesn't work out, I don't know, maybe I have a backup option. That's where backup careers, your backup options start to really take root. And there's a few of these that you'll see here in just a second where you're like, whoa, that's where a lot of people get stuck. So how are you showing up as that? Now remember, every single one of these 5, there is a solution for them, but it takes intention. And it takes starting to ask the right questions, or at least asking different questions. Does that make sense? And so number 3, the bare minimum pre-PT. Bare minimum pre-PT is essentially just looking at the checklist of stuff they need to do to apply, and all they want to do is check off that checklist. And they're like, all right, that school wanted a 3.0 minimum. I got a 3.0 minimum. Cool. That school wanted this score on the GRE, barely made the cut. That school wanted this many hours. All right, good. So essentially with everything in our application, we're just checking off the boxes. Ask yourself once again, if the schools are accepting you at an 11.7% of applicants that apply to a school actually get into that school, does that make you competitive? Are you the bare minimum pre-PT? Is that putting you in a position to get accepted into a physical therapy program? And the reason why this is important is because remember this, every year you don't get into physical therapy school is quite literally a year of you not becoming a PT. If you want to put a number on it, that's $75,000, $80,000 that you would have gotten paid during your first year as a physical therapist. So every year I don't get in, I'm just delaying that. So that's the opportunity cost of guessing or playing bare minimum. Are you following? Are you seeing why this is so important? Are you seeing why when we're working with some of our clients, we're so keen on figuring this piece out so that we're not guessing our way through this pre-PT experience? Is this making sense? So that's just 3. Number 4 is the quick take, slow act pre-PT. This is a student that is very quick to listen to a training like this and be like, whoa, good information, yeah, but you do nothing with it afterwards. So you're quick to take in info. You always assume that there's something else out there that you don't quite know. And so you're always looking for more data, more information. That was a cool video. That was a cool training. Let me go watch something else and see if I can find out more information before I start doing something about it. Those are the students that we see coming to our master classes, and they come to multiple master classes. However, in between each master class, they have done nothing with the information because they assume, they are convinced, they are persuaded that there's some other hidden gem, other hidden secret out there that they need to acquire first before they take action. Are you with me? This is where we get stuck. When we assume that there's always more, there's always more. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying everything you need to do right now. However, you already know enough to do something. And so check it out. If whenever I learn something new, I act on it faster, I now create space to learn something else that's new and apply that. However, if you're the quick take, slow act, you're always saying, all right, I got some information, I need more. I got some more information, I need more. What happens is over time, you get so overwhelmed and still feel like you're not capable of doing the things that will help you get into physical therapy school. That actually leads to things like procrastination. That's when we start saying, I don't think I'll be ready this year. Let me apply next year. Let me push it off till later. Let me do another career. Let me get a master's first. Let me become a physical therapy assistant first. Now, if you want to become a PTA, do that, because PTAs are brilliant. It's an amazing career. However, don't do it as a stepping stone to defer, because PTA school is hard as well. Let's not get that part twisted. However, if I'm a quick take, slow act pre-PT, can you already see how I start to sabotage my entire journey because I always think there's something else out there that I need before I do something with my current situation? Are you following, right? Those are students that are great at taking notes, great at listening, great at following up with episodes like this. However, they take no action. It's like reading a book. Y'all, I have a bunch of books here in my office. It's like reading a book, and every time you read a book, and let's say it's like a self-help book or a personal development book or a book that has, I'm not talking about like a story, or I'm not talking about like a novel or anything like that. I'm talking about like a book that you can actually do something about afterwards, right? Some of the best books have all the secrets in them already, yet people will read them and say, oh, I don't know, maybe I need to do this other thing. It's like, no, they told you what to do. The reason why authors can put so many gems in a book worth $20 is because they know that most people in the world are quick take, slow act. They're quick to take in more information, very slow to act on it. The people that actually act on it, even with the little they know, are always the ones that win, are always the ones that dominate. The question is, are you willing to shift that so that you can put yourself in the driver's seat of your acceptance letter? You have more control than you think. I hope you're starting to realize that now, right? And then number 5 is the just-in-time pre-PT. The just-in-time pre-PT is really, they wait till the last minute for everything. They're like, I got several months before application cycle opens. I have time. Oh, I don't really want to worry about the GRE. I'll deal with it this summer right before I apply. I have time. Oh, the deadlines for my school is not until October, maybe November or December. I got time. So what happens is they give up the power to control the things that would give them a massive head start, to control the things that would potentially help them stand out. And they wait till the last second, and they're usually the most stressed. I can't tell you how many students we have DMing us on our Instagram channel and our team is responding to it, emailing our account and our team's responding to it. I'm talking about people that are not clients of ours. Now, if you're a client of ours, we've already set you up, so you're good. However, I'm talking people that are not clients of ours. They're like, hey, especially with essay editing. This is my favorite. With essay editing, because we have a team that actually edits essays, and it's paid, obviously, because they're experts. However, with essay editing, I can't tell you how many times students will be like, yeah, so my application is due this Thursday. I need this essay edited by today so that I can submit it in time for Thursday. Keep in mind, when they're saying that, it's like Tuesday. 2 days later is when their deadline is, and they're just now trying to get help with that right there is a just-in-time pre-PT. They're stressed out of their mind. They also usually have the least patience because they're running out of time. It's not that they're bad people. They're just so stressed that they now start pulling everybody else around them down with them. And so just be very careful. How many things am I pushing off, assuming, and it starts innocent, I just start pushing a few things off, and then a few more things off, and then a few more things off, because typically when I'm pushing things off, it's also called procrastination. It just means that I don't know how to tackle the thing that I'm pushing off. For example, with the GRE, if I am pushing off the GRE, it just means I don't know how to tackle it. That's all that really means. Remember, there's a solution for that. If I don't know how to tackle it, what's the best thing to do? Figure out how to tackle it. Learn from people who are experts at tackling it. And so it just starts to change the questions you ask. Now, those are the 5. So first of all, before I share with you the 6th, ask yourself, have I been showing up as the victim pre-PT, the blind pre-PT, the bare minimum pre-PT, the quick take, slow act pre-PT, the just-in-time pre-PT? And if the answer is yes, then is it possible that it's actually holding you back from becoming the applicant or future applicant that you want to be? From feeling in control, because just because you're not submitting your application today doesn't mean that your application hasn't already begun. You start your application the moment you start college. Your first day of your freshman year in college, you've already begun. Everything you do from that point on is a part of what turns you into the applicant that you will be when you get into PT school. Does that make sense? So you're already in it. You just don't realize it, because most of us have been trained to think that the time where we go to submit is now when the application begins. Absolutely not. And the students who think that way are usually the most stressed, unfortunately. And so the last one is what we call the unchained pre-PT. The unchained pre-PT is essentially the exact opposite of every single other pre-PT that I just mentioned to you. The unchained pre-PT never blames anyone and takes complete ownership of their situation. The unchained pre-PT invests time and money to make sure that they're not guessing. They're looking for experts. They're looking for people that have been down this path before, because they realize that they're not the first. And if they're not the first, that means someone else has been down this path and has figured it out. And if they figured it out, then I can too. Does that make sense? Unchained pre-PT goes above and beyond. They act fast. They're not the quick take, slow act. They know that once I have a bit of information, I'm going to act fast. They're the ones that are going to listen to this training and be like, okay, cool. I now need to act fast. I need to start actively becoming the unchained pre-PT. And I'll give you a next step here in a second. They're the ones that are going to take me up on what I'm about to share with you. And they do things early. They're not waiting till the last possible moment. That is the unchained pre-PT. Notice how on this training, we did not talk about how to study better, how to get a better GRE score. We didn't talk about all of those things, which are the typical questions most people are asking, right? How do I stand out? Before we get into all that stuff, we got to start with you. It starts with you. Everything starts with you. If we don't address that, can you already see how even if you teach the right stuff to someone that is a quick take, slow act, it probably won't even get done? Can you see how even if you teach all the strategies to someone that is a victim, they'll always think it's somebody else's fault or their circumstances' fault? They will feel helpless. Can you already see how if you give the right information to someone that is bare minimum, how it can already sabotage them, even though they have the right tools? So it starts with you. It has to start with you. It's always started with you. And the moment you realize that is the moment you take your power back. And now you are on your way to becoming a strong applicant. So that's how you prevent yourself from getting rejected from PT school. It's in your hands. Don't get yourself rejected from physical therapy school. I hope this was helpful. If you want more guidance, you're like, yo, this was good, I got you. Go to acceptanceguides.com. We have some free resources there that'll help you massively, like just catapult you further than this training alone. And then our team will reach out to you and see if there's any other way that we can help you. So acceptanceguides.com. And of course, if there's someone else that you feel would value this training, please share it with them. And we'll see you on the next one. Have a blessed one. Keep crushing it. And of course, in the comments below, please tell me what was your biggest takeaway from this training? And what are you going to do? What are your next steps going to be? How are you going to leverage this so you can absolutely crush it and become a standout applicant and a future doctor of physical therapy? Let's get it. Have a good one. Bye.